Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to talk about novel food application, in particular the novel food CBD application. What does it mean to us? And to discuss that in detail, I've got with me our experts here on this podcast. With me is Isabel. Um, Isabel is a food scientist and consultant to ACI. And then I've got Marc Burbidge. He's our ACI development and quality lead. And we will discuss what does the novel food application means for the industry body working in the CBD space. I think the important question to us is, first of all, what does it mean by novel food, CBD as a novel food? I would like to ask Isabel if you can please explain what does it mean CBD as a novel food to you as a food scientist.
Yes, Parveen. Novel foods, basically in the European Union, are any foods that have not got a history of consumption in the European Union before 1997. So basically, what it means is that we are unsure on how safe these products are to the European market. Now, why the European market? Like, for example, allergens in the European market are different to allergens in other areas because it affects differently on the population. This is why it has to be in the European market. And basically, the novel food application is not about the quality of the product. It's not about that it's the correct amount of CBD on it when it's placed on the market. That's something totally different. We're actually one step back. We're actually making sure with the novel food application that we are absolutely sure that the product is safe for the consumers. So safe, and it is not going to produce adverse effects on the health of the people who ingest it. So that is a novel food application. It's about product safety.
Thank you very much. That's right. Absolutely, it's for the consumer safety. And then what I would like to know is that from last 4 to 5 years, CBD has almost exploded from in the market. It's the new product came in, but it has taken over the whole of the financial sector in the CBD. People have been making a lot of money. Industry bodies been making a lot of money from that. And as a novel food application, now it's been introduced as a novel food. CBD is a novel food, and since European Commission has declared novel food in January 2019, and then on top of that, now FSA have declared that anybody working in this space has to have their novel food application for CBD validated by 31st of March 2021. So what does it mean to you as a business, Marc, working in the CBD space?
I think when you look at the industry, that, as you say, there's been an exponential growth, and there's been so many serial entrepreneurs and financiers that have entered into the market and built some really big businesses, very much focused on the commercial aspects of what they can do, of generating as much money as possible. But this doesn't put companies in the ideal situation for novel foods and for the regulation that exists around this. There's the companies that have really focused their time and energy in ensuring that they have the right people in place. People like Isabel, people who have quality management systems in place and have built real quality in the right places, are so well equipped to be able to go through the novel food process to ensure that their products are compliant. And the companies that are focused more on commercially generating as much money as possible as they can in a short space of time, but have maybe not paid enough attention on the regulatory side of the industry, have got a lot more work to do.
Thank you, Marc. Isabel, you mentioned that consumer safety is important aspect of the novel food application. What do you mean by consumer safety?
Well, by consumer safety, we're actually in the food industry, we have something called the hazard analysis and critical control point. And basically, in that system, we call it hazard. And basically, in that system, we analyze all the process to make sure there isn't any chemical, physical or microbiological contaminants that actually can create an illness on the person who's taking it. So basically, in this aspect, this CBD molecule is new to us. So we don't know how it interacts with our body. We don't know if it actually has any bioavailability interactions with other nutrients. For example, an example of this is the oxalic acid of spinach that actually makes calcium not absorbable to the body. So we don't know if this is a possibility. It's likely not going to be, but we haven't done the studies to actually see this. So basically, it's not based on anything like one aspect of it, for example, is the cannabis plant actually has an enormous absorption potential for pesticides, for heavy metals, for anything that is on the soil. But we're not looking into this in the novel food application because that's already covered by other legislation. We already know that these things are can be bad for us, and the level of which we have to actually control them in different materials. We're actually focusing on the CBD as an isolate, and in the broader spectrum of the isolates, any other terpenes that actually could have a potential more effect on certain aspects of nutrition or food safety, or other lesser effects. So basically, there needs to be a full scientific study of this molecule to satisfy the European Commission and the European Food Safety Authority and the FSA as well, to make sure that yes, it is safe to put these products on the market.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Elizabeth. It's important that we understand what are the issues and challenges on this consumer safety. As you highlighted, that plant has a ability to absorb those heavy metals and can have a potential contamination into the extract. As you mentioned, that these are covered by the other legislation. So by default, they should be inspected, and as a part of their specification should be corrected already.
Yes.
Right.
So this is part of the part of the hazard itself. So this is a raw material risk assessment that the companies have to do, but that's part of the due diligence. That's not part of the investigation of the after the molecule of the CBD and all the other cannabinoids, terpenes, and other products that can be in the broader spectrum distillate. So this kind of knowledge, because this product has not been ingested in a long time since it became illegal, we don't know, and we need to make that a study and make sure that we protect our consumers from anything that could actually harm their health.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And along with that, it's also add to the complexity is the nature of the chemicals which are present in the cannabinoid, various cannabinoids present in the plant extract of cannabis. One of them is not only just talking about the other cannabinoids, it's itself the CBD molecule, because it's a stereo isomer, and it can have various another enantiomers present in that as well. So there is not only just the other cannabinoids complexity, is the stereoisomer complexity as well. All has to be taken into account, and then complexing it with the other, as you mentioned, that the bioavailability impacted by other food ingredients or formulation excipients present in the extract, which is making it much more complicated.
And not only that, as well, the process, if you heat it, that could actually lead to certain carcinogenics, like, for example, the chia seeds, they actually found that when they presented the novel food applications. So basically, it's not only about the raw material of isolate and distillate itself, it's also about the use of that raw material in the product. So basically, all the companies that actually produce finished products that are actually placed on the market need to actually assess how the process affects this material through their risk assessment or hazard.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're really saying is the manufacturing process has
An impact. Yeah, absolutely.
Because these chemicals are temperature sensitive, air sensitive, light sensitive. Everything has to be taken into account
Absolutely.
when assessing the safety of these products. And obviously, when you're assessing the safety, talk studies, all that, they have a cost attached to it. And I would like to ask Marc, what it means to you when you're preparing for a novel application. what are the cost implications to industry body like you yourself working in the and supplying the CBD formulated products? What does it mean to you?
So from a cost perspective, obviously there's a lot of work to do. You're looking at stability tests, the absorption studies, the toxicological work around that, making sure that you've got the right expertise in place to be able to put together the dossier for you and ensure that your submission's successful. So companies are looking at a cost of over £200,000 at least for a lot of the work that they're doing. And a lot of this can be dependent on the number of SKUs of products you have, the number of raw material inputs that you're using, and then the complexity of the products that you're developing that can cause more expense required for the novel food application process. And obviously the way in which that you approach the toxicological work that you're going to do can have a massive impact on that cost as well.
Yeah. And along with the stability testing, you need to have
Absolutely.
the real-time stability along with accelerated stability, and that all adds to the cost. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is especially expensive when you're looking at cannabinoid analysis as well, because ultimately the analysis of the cannabinoids is very expensive when you start looking at the microbiology, when you're looking at some more complex formulations such as inclusion of terpenes and what have you. The level of analysis just required within the stability can be quite a lot as well.
Understand, appreciate that. And for this very reason, as you know, that that ACI and ADSL team have come together to assist the industry to generate the tox information for the primary CBD. What I mean by primary CBD, the CBD isolate, the broad spectrum, the full spectrum, all those key raw CBD raw material which has been used by industry bodies or the white labeler companies or the finished product to generate the finished formulation product. And so because CBD itself is a novel food, so in fact that is what needs to be risk assessed and for the talks. However, when you're putting it in the finished formulation, then it have an implication that it might change the absorption, the bioavailability, and that needs to be addressed separate. So for this very reason, ACI has put on the table a safety proposal where we can do a consortium approach for the companies who are using these different key safety raw materials into their finished formulation that can be properly risk assessed. As we know that the Committee on Toxicology and the various regulatory health authorities have concern. What is the impact, cumulative impact of CBD? For example, if you're using the CBD as a medicine, as a patient from Epidiolex, and then you are dosing yourself also from the various food intakes as well, and that can have a significant impact. So there are issues with the liver toxicity, there are issues with the accumulation issue, drug interaction issue, so and adverse effect because of the accumulative dose. That's where ACI are proposing that we can come together as an industry body and have a joint generic application for CBD raw material. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to you in the cost implication? What does it mean to you in the assistance to helping you in putting the novel food application for the primary CBD as well as for the secondary CBD? What I mean is the finished product. Can you highlight that, please, Marc?
Absolutely. The expertise of people like yourself at the ACI and a group like ADSL coming together and bringing that knowledge and expertise really gives faith and encouragement to companies that they can go through this process in the knowledge that we are well looked after and taken care of as an industry. The toxicological knowledge of yourself, of Paul Duffy, of Marc from ADSL, of combining that knowledge and giving us the ability to be able to not only put together the products in the right way and do the right analytics, but understand that when it comes to writing of the dossier, that this is going to be done in the most robust way pulling on all of your many years of experience working in your various fields to ensure that these applications are going to be the best that they possibly can be. And the other area that really, really for companies that are looking at it from a commercial basis and trying to get an understanding of what the costs are, the real cost reduction, whether it's the fact that the consortium approach to generating the tox studies and the huge reduction of that as opposed to doing it independently, or even the cost reductions that ADSL are giving to the ACI members, that are giving them just a huge reduction in the basic work that they need to do, never mind some of the more complex testing that's required. Those two areas really, really kind of profoundly show where the value is in working with the ACI and working with ADSL on this.
Thank you, Marc. And what will be your final message to the industry bodies working in this space? Why should they join that consortium approach?
For me, the scientific approach and the expertise that the ACI and ADSL have put together to be able to really create the most robust package for a novel food application is, for me, truly the very best way to go. I have absolute faith in the process. The companies that I know of and work with have absolute faith in the process. And I think for companies that are considering joining and are considering becoming a part of the Novel Foods Consortium and the ACI, if you want your companies to still be functioning and legally compliant come the 1st of April next year, this really is the best option.
Thank you, Marc. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you for your time. A really constructive discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Parveen.
Thank you, Parveen.